So we have the result from the freestyle today, and it just goes to show that reality is reality, and you have to be prepared for everything. We had sort of a snowball of events. Thriller actually had quite a bad experience in London in the prize giving, where another horse came running up behind him. He's going through his normal routine. He goes in canter. He's quite relaxed and long in the frame, not in a competition frame with extended trot or anything like that. He keeps a very relaxed posture. Some of the other horses got afraid. He had a horse that came right up behind him and sort of ran into him. And this is kind of like a bit of a car crash, a bit of a smash up, and we didn't do any smash repairs after that. Thriller is really a horse that is super sensitive. We've kind of, like a rose bush, groomed him into a nice ball, and he's a professor now. He's been doing international shows for a long time, and you can get complacent and you let things go, and this nice rose ball that you've trimmed starts to grow a few little wild flowers or branches off it, the situation in London, he had a little bit of a fright with the music, of course, and we then, in the familiarization in the morning in Den Bosch, there was one rider a little bit late, and the sound check was still going on once we were all in the arena, and the sort of speakers came on really loud and had a big pop and a lot of bass, and a lot of the horses freaked out, and he kind of had a little bit the switch, like, oh, prize giving, and he was doing his normal walk in hand, where he's learning, as you see on the videos, he's learning to control his physical state, and he lowers his heart rate in the environment, in the arena he has to perform in. And this kind of twigged a bit of a memory, and at that point I was thinking, he came back really quickly and he got relaxed again, so we didn't think too much of it. And then Katja was on first in the freestyle, and he warmed up extremely well. He was actually, in one of the best positions I've ever seen him in the warming up. A lot of things we've worked on over the years, he's sort of being able to pull off very easy in his body now. But Katja was first on. We go towards the arena, and the prize giving music from London is playing to begin the freestyle. And I'm walking next to Thriller, as I always do, going towards the arena, and then I see the eyes look a little bit away from the arena, and I'm thinking, oh dear, let's hope he hasn't switched on to prize giving mode. And so he was then already a little bit out of his focus, and a little bit on the defense, and then circumstances, Katja got sort of half alongside and the bell rang, so she didn't get a full round, which probably, looking back, wouldn't have helped too much. But so she was very quick entering the ring. In the beginning of Katja's music, she has a really big bass for her entry and the halt. So Katja had to make a very split-second decision to halt a little bit earlier, and then to get moving, thinking that when that big bass sound came, he's already moving. She can give him more the feeling in his body that he's already going and he's in the flow. She had to make a transition direct into Piaffe at that moment, and then the big boom came, and then of course the damage control that we didn't solve, that we didn't go back and repair and get him to think about controlling himself in that situation with the music, with the intensity in the frame, doing his thing, and then he had a moment of panic. She started too early. So the beginning of the test was a little bit ruined by this kind of explosion. Luckily, he was able to come back and get focused again, which is a really nice thing, that all the training meant that at that situation, Katja could get him back, he got confident again, he got into the pattern of knowing where it is he had to be, and then he was able to do the rest of the test. But of course, at World Cup level, if you have that kind of blunder in the beginning of the test, then your score is already out. So it was a very good reminder for Katja and I, especially on a horse that's really experienced, that even though he has the experience and he's been to a lot of international shows and he really knows the job, it's important that you are always aware and that you do the training, that if your horse has a bad experience, don't just take it for granted, become complacent. When you're in these big environments, you have to make sure and be thinking all of the time, what is my horse thinking? Is he prepared? Is he in a good mindset? Does he know 100% with industrial strength that this is what he has to do, and he knows he has to do it with confidence, and that you can have a good feeling yourself and your horse can also have a good feeling. So of course we were absolutely kicking ourselves, and for me not so much the disappointment. Of course it's disappointing because you want everything to go well, and it was disappointing that you have a little bit of a blow up and then you're really kicking yourself that you think, oh, it could have been prevented. But it was also more disappointing for me that then Thriller has to have that experience in the ring, that he got into that situation. He'd had a few episodes where he got afraid, and then he had to be in that situation where he should have felt empowered. He knows his music from the freestyle, and especially when he gets into the canter tour, and also the walk, he really knows his music and he really relaxes with it, and he goes with the freestyle, and he really loves the freestyle. So it was disappointing that then we let him be in the arena and have that experience. And sometimes you can't be sure and fix everything, but it just reminds me again, reminds the both of us, Katja and I, that you have to be 100% and making sure your horse is having a good experience, and you prepare him as best you can, and you know how your horse is, and you know if he's prepared when he goes in. We're home again. He had a couple of rest days, and then our next day's training was with the block rocker and starting Katja's music. We started in hand. I had him in the halter, and I start with some relaxing patterns, and then I walked him in hand, started a little bit in the bending. It came really to the point of the base for a halt. As soon as the music started, and it starts with a little twinkling sound, and then it sort of builds up to the halt, and I could see he started to get a little bit up in the posture, and he was in hand with a rope halter on, walking around in his own arena at home. He heard the noise of the base of the halt, and boom, we had exactly a replica of the explosion that happened in Den Bosch. So how did I fix it? The nice thing is that you knew it was there. It was right at the point where the trauma happened. So I put the block rocker in the middle. I went back to my shape for the carrying posture, this bend where he's in control of his body. He's not throwing the head up and letting the legs go everywhere. He brings himself into a controlled state in the presence of the music at the moment of the trigger that caused the reaction, and we just kept playing it back, and every time he'd have a little, and then he would relax, and then he'd have a little tension that knowing it was coming, and then he found the relaxation, and he sort of slowly through 3-4 repetitions was finding the relaxation. In the end I could drop the rope. We played the music from the start. It had the boom. He felt that he was in control of himself. And then you've done the smash repair, which is what should have been done before the competition, but this is how we went away to solve it later. The next days, Katja will also ride the freestyle, going through this bit, letting him find the rest in this position. If he goes back again to a nervous moment, we will put him into the shape so he finds the relaxation in his posture, in his physiology again. He feels like he's in control of the situation again, so then he doesn't feel like he needs to explode or escape from that situation because he's not in control of himself in that situation. So that's the damage control, and Thriller will be much happier again the next time we are at the next show riding the freestyle.